Hi, my name is Mika O, and I live in Denmark and I've been living here for like 40 years. Um, and I work and I teach in structural racism in Copenhagen, mostly, but also speak in around the country in Denmark. The thing is, I don't know, and the reason that I do this in English, because my mother tongue is actually Danish, is because I don't think that people outside in the world actually understand that that racism actually is a thing in Denmark, in Scandinavia, and how it works, and why it's also still a big and growing, unfortunately, thing here in Scandinavia and also Denmark. The thing is, I don't know how many of you know about that Denmark is a nation that also had slaves, a slave nation. We owned islands, Virgin Islands, and had slaves, as also as UK and other countries had. So we were part of that imperialism. We were part of that history, and I can say that we're still. Actually, last year there was on topic that Denmark should say sorry to the Virgin Islands. Denmark chose not to. So we, as a country, have had not said sorry for the actions that the state has caused the people from the Virgin Islands. But yeah, we're a big slave nation, and no doubt that the, this country is built on the backs of slave, the what they attributed to this country. Today, in let's come to 2019, as it's here we live. Today, I don't know if you heard about the expression hygge. It's very Danish, and Danish people love that word because you can use it for everything almost, as long as you want to have a nice time. A nice time here in Denmark is very much based on the word hygge, and one thing you don't do about that is destroy it, because if you destroy the word hygge, if you destroy that moment, you also destroy the atmosphere, you destroy the environment, you destroy the essence of the Danish person in what they want, and they want to hear. And so racism is not something we've been talking about because Danish people love to hear, and so we don't talk about racism, we don't talk about poor people, we don't talk about disabled people, we don't respect these people because we want to hygge. It sounds really crazy, but that word have a lot of power in this country. One of the reasons that we never talk about the issues that actually is important, we don't talk about the taboos, we don't talk about everything else outside the word hygge, because again, we don't want to destroy the Danish hygge. And this country has never been challenged in ways of poverty, in ways of war, in ways of struggles and suppression. It's a small country where we make fun of everything. If it's not hygge, well, it's funny, isn't it? It's sarcasm, it's satire. And when it's based on who makes it funny and who decides what's funny, and if that's only white people and it's based on the word hygge, then it's just and only funny. So racism in Denmark has been very subtle. You never felt that in that way because we don't talk about it and we don't want to take responsibility for it. Again, we still haven't said sorry to the Virgin Islands. So, and I know there is a political part of that, but again, I don't know how political it has to be before you can say, so you can say sorry to generations of families that the nation been hurting. So I don't know how much politics is more worth than human lives, but again, it's not countable, isn't is it? But because we can't talk about how things are, we cannot talk about racism, we cannot talk about discrimination, and we've never been talking about it in a way where we actually address that and use time seriously, so we can be a part of the world that really wants to solve the problem racism. Because you cannot tell me that, no, don't tell me that any white person want to be a racist. Well, maybe there's some there, of course there's some, but the majority of people don't want to be a racist. I don't believe that. So if we want to solve this, we also need to talk about it. We cannot just make it disappear because we don't want to think about it, or don't want to take responsibility for it, or don't want to say sorry for the actions and things we did. We need to talk about it. We need to address it. We need to talk about the taboos that white people don't want to talk about. So we have this situation now in 2019 where we actually are talking about it. We're talking about the word racism. We're talking about the things, the consequences, the negative influences that hits brown and black people. We're talking about it for the first time. We're talking about racism, but again, it's not the same as it is in the States. It's not the same as it is anywhere else in the world. We do have racism in Denmark too, in Scandinavia, and we have it our way. And the way that we have it is more and more, you can see it more and more, and feel it more and more as a black and brown person. I can myself. But it's always been subtle. It's always been subtle in a way where it's been a little bit H.C. Andersen fairy tale story, Danish hygge. We don't want to destroy that kind of hygge. How funny, isn't it, with black people with red mouths and all that things. That's been Denmark. We've just been laughing at it and about it. So when we addressed that, this is racist or this is discriminating, we've been told that, hey, can't you take a joke? This is just for fun, and you destroy the hygge. Now, if white people think so, yeah, we destroy the hygge. We don't have to be a part of that hygge, because as a brown black person, it's not hygge. It's actually the opposite of hygge. So if white people feel that way, well, that is the way it must be. Maybe we can find another place, another way to hygge. Maybe we can find a place where fun is the same for all of us and not just for white people. Racism has never been fun. It will never be funny. It will never become funny. So when we talk about racism, how it is in the States, it's not the same as it is here in Denmark. And it's not the same as it is in the UK or in other places. We do it differently. Hygge has nothing to do with how we solve racism. On the contrary, we need to address it. We need to talk about it. And we need to have this dialogue. And I think that's the only way we actually 100% can go in and not control it, but solve it together as people. That's a little bit about how racism is in Denmark, in Scandinavia, and maybe the reason why you never noticed it when you come to Denmark as a tourist. When you come to Denmark as a tourist, it's nice. It's really a nice place. It's a nice small place. Peace all over. You can put your child to sleep outside the street without anything happens. Almost most places in the country. It's peaceful. It's a peaceful country, and yeah, it can almost be like H.C. Andersen fairy tale or Kierkegaard philosophy in ways where you can all see the romance in the streets and Christian Divorce and all that. There is a lot of history and a lot of beautiful places in Denmark. So I understand when you come as a tourist and you actually see a country and people that are nice. I'm not saying that racist people with a racist behavior cannot be nice. I just tell you that racism is not the same, and you cannot say that racism happens in the States. You will see the same when you come to Denmark, because you won't. But it's not the same that it doesn't exist. It exists very much, and it's very, very, very real. So for us, brown black people in Denmark and in Scandinavia, when we talk about it and we address it, it's not the same way as we experience when we see movies or clips, video clips of how it is in the States. We don't have the same laws and rules. We have different ones, and our structure is very much different. Yeah, we do have some heathers, and we do have white people that really behave really racist. At the same time, they say, I'm not a racist. But, you know, that sentence, there's a lot of them in Denmark. So, yeah, we got a lot of racists. We got a lot of people with racist behavior, and they don't know it themselves. But it's also the first time we actually address it as we do. So that was a little bit about Denmark. This is my first video. I never tried to make videos like this before with a specific goal, as I want to put it up on YouTube. So yeah, I hope you got a little insight in how Denmark is when we talk about racism and discrimination. Again, my name is Mika. I teach in structural racism, institutional racism, and intersectional feminism, black feminism here in Denmark. See you next time.